Yeah, I know. We'll get in line because we're in line too. It's possible, but it's like there are a lot of hurdles, and things are changing though.
Good. Hello out there in Cyberland. Jennifer Sparks here. Got Brian Festa of We the Patriots in the house. Got a great discussion for you guys today about now that the election is over, what do we need to do? And we're gonna talk with Brian Festa of We the Patriots USA to talk about. There's a lot of things we need to talk about post election. Now is not the time to sit back and relax.
No, no, and listen. And thanks as always, Jen, for having me. I understand the sentiment that I'm seeing in the health freedom community that both of us have been a part of for years, even long before COVID. I understand the sentiment. People are tired, right? When you've been fighting for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, in your case, in John's case, or more than 20 years, it's exhausting. And the thought that finally now, the truth is coming out and we're going to be saved is a very comforting and attractive one. And I get that. I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if I'm supposed to hear an echo of myself, but it's fine though. I can talk through it.
Oh, I apologize. I don't know why you're hearing. I don't think our audience is hearing an echo. I do.
Let me do echo. Let me make sure my echo cancellation is
I'm
on.
not catching it on mine at all. You sound actually pretty good.
Okay, that's fine. So as long as you and your audience aren't hearing it, then I'll roll with it. It's
It
it's
could be
it's,
frustrating. I
it's a
apologize.
soft echo. It's not a loud echo,
Okay. It
so
doesn't
it's
echo
not
here for
gonna.
some reason. I'm
It's
hoping
not
it's
good.
not
Oh, thank
echoing out
you
there.
much.
So if anyone's listening and you're hearing an echo, please let us know.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. There was something called echo cancellation, but I can't find it now.
Let me take a look live in real time. Let me see if I can go in and adjust anything on your end. Let's see. We're live in real time in the studio with Brian Festa. Just trying to, if you guys hear an echo
Yeah, I don't hear it when
cancellation.
you talk. I only hear it when I talk.
Okay, okay. I'm
So
not.
it sounds like it's coming from your end, but it's okay. Let me just roll with it because honestly, it's pretty faint. It's not
Okay.
it's not loud in my ear like sometimes. I've had that happen before, and that's really annoying when you
Oh
have a
yeah,
loud.
no, that could drive you crazy and make you talk weird. So I
Yeah,
apologize about that, Brian.
that's fine. That's fine. So anyway, I understand that it can be comforting and attractive to say that now Trump's reelected. Bobby Kennedy is going to be in charge of HHS. We don't have to worry about anything anymore. Vaccines aren't going to ever be mandated again. The truth about the childhood vaccination schedule and all vaccines is going to come out. And all the CDC data is coming out now. Everything's going to be revealed. People are going to be held accountable. The 1986 Act is going to be eviscerated. There's not going to be any more immunity from liability. All that's going away, and it's like a new age. Everybody's hailing this the age of Aquarius, whatever they're calling it. A new day. I'm serious. I've seen that. A new day has dawned. Everything's going to be wonderful now. The war is over. I am here not to rain on anybody's parade, but I do think there's a lot of reason for hope. Let me just start by saying that. I do think there's a lot of reason to be happy and to have some sense of relief and hope. Definitely, hope is justified. What I'm concerned about is that too many people have taken it too far to the point where they're just saying, well, we don't really need to do anything anymore. Complacency. I call it the complacency problem in the article I wrote just the other day at patriots.org. You can find it under updates I put in our post. It really was just a email that went out to our followers. It wasn't on my Substack, although I did write a Substack article about Bobby Kennedy being appointed HHS secretary with supportive addresses some of these same themes and ideas, but I did it more concisely in that post the other day on our website and to email if you're not on our email list, subscribe at wethepatriotsusa.org. But anyway, what's really concerning for me is that there are too many people that are just saying now, listen, now that Kennedy is in charge, we don't have anything to worry about. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to have rallies. We don't need to contact our legislators anymore. We don't need to support organizations like We the Patriots USA, Children's Health Defense. I can go down the list. Now, this isn't just about self-promotion, right? Although, of course, it is year-end. We are a nonprofit. You can make a tax-deductible donation to our organization at wethepatriotsusa.org and all of that. Yes, I'll say that. But that's not the main reason here. I'm going to name several organizations. Okay, I just named 3 of them, including us. But I could go on and on. I could go to other great organizations like the Justice Institute, Liberty Council, the Thomas More Society, who have done a lot of work with things like vaccine exemptions over the past several years. Other nonprofits like the National Vaccine Information Center. There's a wealth of information from really great organizations that many of which have been doing this for a long, long time, even longer than we have here at Patriots USA. There's organizations that have been around for a really long time. They still need to be funded. Why? People say, well, everything's going to be cleaned up. All the fraud can be exposed. Everyone's held accountable. Vaccines aren't going to be mandated anymore. Why do we still need to support them? Well, because that false sense of security is just that. It's false. Okay? We are not, number one, nothing's happened yet. Bobby Kennedy has to be confirmed by the Senate. And I believe that's going to be an uphill battle. Why? Why do I believe that's going to be an uphill battle? I could be wrong. Go back and play this if I'm wrong. If he skates through and is confirmed very easily, go back and play this and laugh at me. Okay? But I don't think I'm wrong. Because most of Congress is bought and paid for. Remember, we're a nonpartisan organization, so I'm not going to be, waving the flag for Trump here, certainly not for Biden or Harris. We're nonpartisan, and I'm glad that we're not allowed to be partisan, actually, as a 501c3, because I don't trust any party. I don't trust any political party. At least 60, if not 70%, probably higher, actually. I'm being conservative because we do have some new people that were just elected, and I don't know exactly where they stand. We did just have some new senators that were elected and some new congressmen that were elected, and I don't want to call them out. I'm saying, 60, 70%, probably more like 80% of Republicans in Congress are bought and paid for, are owned by the pharmaceutical industry. And then all of the Democrats are together. So every single Democrat, I think, to a man, to a woman, is going to vote against that. If he were nominated to run the EPA, they wouldn't. They trust him on environmental safety. They don't trust him anywhere near health and human services, vaccines. Not a single Democrat, I don't think, is going to vote for him. I could be wrong. Maybe one will, maybe 2 will. But I don't think any of them are going to. And then you have at least 60, 70, 80% of Republicans who have strong allegiances and strong ties to the pharmaceutical industry. There's money that's changed hands. There's a lot of lobbyists that reach the pockets of people in Congress. And there's threats that happen as well. So if you don't think that there's a very strong chance that half of the Republicans vote against him, you're delusional. So if all the Democrats are voting against him and half the Republicans, what chance does he have to get confirmed?
Yeah, I definitely.
I'm just speaking in reality. Nobody wants to hear this. All right? People in medical freedom are going to murder me for this. They don't want to hear this. I always get myself in trouble for speaking the truth.
No, but you got to speak it. I appreciate it.
They want to hear everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear the reality of the dirty money and the money that's changing hands in Congress, which we know about. All of you have been talking about, all of you listening who are in health freedom, and you too, Jack, have been talking about the corruption in Congress, in our government, for years, for decades. So why now do you think that's all gone? We didn't elect a whole new Congress. We only elected a select number of new Republicans and some Democrats to Congress. Most of the people in Congress are the same people that were there, last year, the year before. And in some cases for decades.
Yeah, no, it's a dirty. It's really dirty, and I think now is not the time for hopium. And I think that
I like
that. it's just not.
I
What I
heard
think.
that before. I like that. I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah, you go for it. Now is not the time
give
for the
you credit.
hopium. Because people need to hear this and they need to be really activated. What this election showed is that the population is tired of a lot of things that are going on. I think medical freedom had a huge impact on Trump's win. I really do. This is my opinion. I think that a lot of people, I'll never forget being in Washington, D.C. with Bobby in 2018, right, in November, during the anniversary of the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act. And I thought it was a really powerful moment with meeting up with all these people from all over the country. And I think people, took heed and were listening to what Bobby was saying and supported Trump in his presidency to give, bring this up to the national stage. Some people got mad about it, whatever. But I think that when people did vote, however, if they still voted for Bobby or voted for Trump or whatever, but what I'm thinking is that people are fed up with the mandates and all those things, but you can't think that just going into a voting booth is going to change things. It's great that this is now on the national stage. As far as I'm concerned, that we are having conversations that we could never have before. We're able to talk about the things that Bobby's bringing up, which I'm so thankful for. But he absolutely, like you're saying, this is no shoe-in that it's all of a sudden magically going to be over. And I don't trust any billionaires, to be honest with you. The whole system is corrupt from the inside out. If you make it in Washington, it's because there's people you have the money to be in the club that George Carlin talked about. Though I think that Trump winning is a victory, very much so, because people are fed up, and that just shows that we're more united than we are divided, and that this conversation needs to be had, from the censorship to the medical industrial complex to many other legal things that you are battling with We the Patriots, where people are being kicked out of we could talk about the Board of Education and people being kicked out of meetings and having problems and all kinds of different.
Still being kicked out of school in states like Connecticut because there's no religious exemption. I'll talk about that in a moment, but I have something else I want to say when you're finished.
Yeah, no, just that's not the time for hopium. That people really still need to be active. There's a lot of good that came to see, seeing this unfold. But then I also have the questions of all the world's a stage, and how these elections kind of distract us from being still the boots on the ground at your local level in each state. I think ultimately it's the states that are going to pull through, and that really is the voice of the people. The real diversity of this country is in the diversity of all of our states, and we're not a country that's built on bigotry and racism. And I think for the people in Connecticut, which is a deeply blue state, and I've been sad to see people say this, everybody, more than half the country is just stupid. And no,
right?
This is an obnoxious statement, and it's time for people to open their ears and listen. If you're feeling that way, then maybe you need to do a reevaluation of what's going on, because more than, the country really spoke very, very loudly, and that's exciting to me. I think medical freedom, had a huge part of that, or a pretty good sized part of that victory as well. And I think that is really exciting. I think Bobby did amass quite a bit of an army of people who have for years been to that's where we met, advocating for our children, talking to these legislators and being like silenced. I have this, if I could play it real quick, this video of Senator Scallon about the medical exemption. The one thing that we still have in Connecticut is this medical exemption, and people aren't really easily able to take it, or they don't realize that they can. Hold on a second, as I'm having just a little difficulty pulling it up here. I'm in real time, folks. Let me see why my Google is holding me hostage. So what is disturbing is that we fought so hard. We get these caveats, I guess, so to speak, and then people aren't able to utilize the very thing that they need to and want to, and even concessions were made for acknowledging this at the very least. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this up here, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it too, Brian. Give me 1 second as I pull it. I have a little bit of an audio issue getting this video. This is Senator Scallon. This is right before COVID breaks out. Hold on a second. Let me share the screen so hopefully you can see that too. And let me go here for a real quick moment. Live in real time, guys. Sorry about that, as I produce the show and working it too. Here we go. And this is here. Let me get both of us here. Here we go.
I'd like to make a motion to amend LCO 1953 to add the following language. Number 1, insert in section 7, subdivision 3, including but not limited to any autoimmune disorder or family history of any autoimmune disorder. On the autoimmune disorder, I think we heard loud and clear that there are people, and this is my personal opinion here, I believe in vaccines. I believe that they're important public health, but I also understand that vaccines are not for everybody, and that there are reasons why somebody would seek a valid medical exemption for a vaccination. And people testify that they felt like folks that have autoimmune disorders or family histories of them were not being heard by the physicians when they tried to make the case that those were important things to consider from a doctor's perspective. By adding this in here, you will be specifically stating in a policy goal that we hope that the doctor will take that into consideration when they are considering those exemptions. And last,
thank you, Representative, and I want to congratulate the work that you did with several others at this late date. I'd have to concur that focusing on autoimmune disorders is consistent with the intention of this legislation to assure a reasonable path for those who have legitimate reasons for medical exemptions.
Assure! Did you hear that, Steinberg? I couldn't think of his name yesterday, and I was talking to you. Assure a path to a medical exemption. And they say this, and the language of the law is kind of like murky and stuff. So tell me what we were talking about this earlier about these medical exemptions in Connecticut and what parents can do who have them and or want to seek them.
Yes, and I do want to respond to that, but very quickly before I do, because I was kind of on the train that I wanted to go somewhere with the other thing. Even if Bobby Kennedy gets confirmed, folks, let's say I'm wrong and he gets confirmed, he will not be able to, nor will Trump be able to, repeal the 1986 Act.
Yeah.
That gave pharma liability, immunity from liability, excuse me. He won't be able to do it because an act of Congress can only be repealed by Congress. Okay? So that's not going to happen either. There's no way in the world that Congress is going to get together and repeal this. All right? So that's not happening. So again, people are saying a lot of things on not only social media, on major conservative media outlets, even people that I respect. I've heard spouting them that Trump can repeal the 1986 Act. No, he can't.
No, he can't.
You can't either. Congress has to do that. It begins and ends with Congress as far as those things go. But the battles that we wage are in the courtroom, and I believe I'm calling the courtroom the last battleground state. That's what I'm calling. The judiciary is the last battleground state, because that's where we can hash this out and get victories. At the end of the day, no matter what executive orders he issues, he's going to pull funding from schools that mandate vaccination, that don't honor religious exemptions. If he says he's going to do that, that's going to be blocked in court. Executive orders get blocked all the time. It only takes one federal judge to block it to issue an injunction. Okay, and then it's tied up in litigation for months or even years. All right, so executive orders aren't going to do it. It's going to be the courtroom. It's going to be judges that finally decide whether or not we win. Okay, so that's why people need to be put. Now that election's over, turn your attention away from politics, away from the polls, and focus on litigation. How do we fund litigation and fund the organizations that are going to fight for us in court to make sure that good executive orders, constitutional executive orders, constitutional acts of Congress are upheld, and unconstitutional ones are struck down. With regard to medical exemption, in the meantime, while we're waiting for hopefully a lot of good things to happen at the federal level, states like Connecticut, as we mentioned, they took away the religious exemption, but supposedly expanded medical exemption. Steinberg said that we're going to expand it. We're going to make it easier to get medical exemption. Okay, he said that in 2021 when this was finally passed as well. But we knew that was, quite frankly, a lie, that was smoke and mirrors, because the same exact language, almost word for word, that Senator Richard Pan used in California when SB 277 was first passed. And since then, there's been subsequent legislation to make it even harder to get medical exemption. The same thing is happening in Connecticut. The reason that they wrote the law, quite frankly, is because they knew that all they had to do was put pressure, put the screws to doctors in the state, and no doctor's going to write them anyway. So you can win 1,000 conditions to qualify for an exemption. It really doesn't matter because no doctor's writing them. Okay? And so that's their way around it. Doctors have told us, other organizations that are fighting for health freedom, have said, I won't write one anymore because they have me on their radar, and I'm being threatened now with getting my license taken away. So
this is so crazy, though. Like, it just, how are we here?
Corruption again. Politicians are corrupt, which is why we cannot put our faith in man. We can't put our faith in these elected leaders and say they're going to solve something. We, the people, have to do it ourselves. We, the patriots, have to do it ourselves. We have to band together and fight these battles ourselves. They're not fighting for us. Anyway, you can still get a medical exemption in Connecticut, though. It has to be submitted on the form prescribed by DPH. That is in the law. It does say on the form and the manner prescribed by the DPH commissioner. And so the form and it has to be submitted to the portal. Now, it doesn't say in the actual law anything about a portal, but it says that the commissioner has the authority to determine the manner, the method, something to that effect, of how an exemption shall be submitted. So a lot of people point to that and say, well, it doesn't say you need to use a portal. You should be able to just mail it in or whatever. But it does say the commissioner gets to determine the form and manner of how they shall be accepted and submitted. So since the commissioner has decided the portal is the form and manner, the doctors do have to use a portal. But however, importantly, it does not say that it must be a Connecticut licensed physician. It says in the law that it must be a licensed physician, advanced practice registered nurse, or physician's assistant. So an APRN, a PA, or an MD, or DO. Licensed physicians, APRNs, or PAs can write exemptions from any state. You do have to be licensed in a state, though. You have to have a valid medical license in a state. And here's the way to go about it. So if doctors are too scared and skittish, there's nothing stopping you from going to any doctor out of state who is willing to examine your child, examine your child's health history, and write an exemption. And so that's what some people have chosen to do, because there's no doctors in Connecticut that will write them anymore, from what I understand. But Some doctors, some parents have chosen to do that, and they've had success because the DPH can't stop you from doing that. There's nothing in the law that says you cannot see a physician out of state. Because think about it. How would they even change the law? Some people say, well, don't talk to this, then they'll change the law to say it has to be just again. We'll fight that tooth and nail because you don't do that for any other area of medicine. You don't tell me I can't see a cardiologist outside the state. You don't tell me I can't see a cancer doctor outside the state. You don't tell me anything else, but only with vaccines, you have to see a pediatrician in the state. Well, what if you just moved into Connecticut and your child's 15? And you've had the same pediatrician for 15 years with that child. You're telling me I'm required to drop that pediatrician and find a new one in Connecticut, even though that child, let's say it's a nearby state, let's say it's Massachusetts or New York or New Jersey or something, it's not even that far away, and you want to keep seeing that pediatrician. Shouldn't you have the right to do that as a parent? You shouldn't. Nobody can tell you that you have to go to a doctor within the bounds of the state. As long as they're licensed and credentialed physician, they're allowed to do it. But we have to be careful. Don't trust anyone that doesn't have a medical license. Research the doctor first. Don't trust anyone that's not going to actually see your child. Just do maybe a telehealth visit, a Zoom call, and say, I'll give you an exemption. That's phony baloney, okay? And that will be deemed invalid if it's challenged in court, okay? Because that is not a valid medical exemption. You need to actually go and see the doctor, okay? Not that telehealth is never allowed in any circumstance, but the doctor, number one, is supposed to be licensed to practice in Connecticut to do telehealth, okay? Because there were some relaxed guidelines during COVID, but that's over now. Okay, so that's your first problem. But the second problem is that's not valid if you aren't actually being seen. The doctor can't, if your child isn't actually being seen by the doctor, isn't actually being examined, and if the health history hasn't been examined, that's not a valid medical exemption. Okay, you're always going to want to make sure that you've gone in person, you've seen the doctor, there's a record of that, so nobody can say this was phony, this was just a Zoom call. No. You go to the doctor, you make an appointment, even if you have to pay out of pocket. You do this. Bring all of your health history ahead of time. Give it to the doctor ahead of time. All the health history. If the doctor wants some blood work, do it ahead of time. Go and have your child examined. And then, after you've done all those things, after you've checked all those boxes, if the doctor determines that you qualify, that your child qualifies for medical exemption, he or she can write one. That's the proper way to do it. That's the proper order of operation. In Connecticut, in California, for years, doctors have been getting disciplined and medical exemptions have been thrown out for years because there are certain doctors who I'm not going to name, who weren't following that procedure, who were literally writing exemptions before they ever saw the child, or without ever seeing the child, or if they did see the child, they wrote the exemption first and then asked for all the health history and stuff afterwards. Well, all the state Department of Health has to do is look at the dates. Hey, this was 2 weeks later. You didn't even get the health history until 2 weeks later. That's a phony exemption. How could you have known that child was at risk? You didn't even have the health history in front of you. We're throwing that out. And so left and right exemptions have been thrown out because people didn't use the proper procedure. Follow the procedure I'm saying here. See the doctor in person, submit your health history ahead of time, get any testing done, have the appointment, have a real physical examination of the child by the doctor, and then if you can get a medical exemption, if the doctor deems it so. We never promise when we give a referral to a doctor, because we do know doctors out of state. We never promise people they're getting medical exemptions. Anyone that's promising you you're getting one in exchange for a fee, that's bogus too. You don't promise someone a medical exemption when you haven't even talked to them. You can promise to examine them if you're a doctor. You can promise to examine their health history, to speak to them, to examine the child. You can promise to do that. But you can't promise ahead of time before you ever see the child you're giving an exemption. If you do that, that's not legitimate. And quite honestly, I would advocate for that to be thrown out in court. I would be on the side of the state saying for that to be thrown out. Because number one, that makes us all look bad. And number two, it's just not valid for anything. For no condition, would you want a doctor writing you a prescription for a drug without ever seeing you or examining your health history? No, I mean, that's just common sense. So it's the same thing. You don't, no doctor should be giving you anything if they haven't examined you and examined your health history. So if you follow those guidelines, there are doctors in other states, okay, that are willing to consider medical exemptions, and we know some of those doctors. All right. Again, I can't write one. I'm not a physician. I don't write medical exemptions to people. I don't even write religious exemptions. Although I could, I'm an attorney, but I guide people, I give people guidance. I ask them what the beliefs are. People tell me, I've had people call me up. How do I write a religious exemption? What should I write? And I tell them, what's your religion? I don't even know what your beliefs are. You've got to tell me. It's the same thing with the doctor, right? Though you've got to tell me.
Yeah.
I'm intake. I've got to sit with you as an attorney. I have to listen to you. Even if I'm licensed in Connecticut, I'm licensed in Iowa. All right, I can sit with people in those states, and I can give them legal advice on how to write one. That's fine. I'm allowed to do that. But it would be unethical for me to write an exemption for them or to tell them what to write when they haven't even told me what their beliefs are. I don't know whether they're Hindu or Muslim or Christian or Jewish. I don't even know. You have to tell me what your beliefs are, and then I'll tell you maybe something about how the phrasing of it, and keywords and things like that you can include that we've seen success with. But it has to be authentic. I'm not going to tell someone to lie. They have to actually put what their actual beliefs are. And that's the ethical way to do it. So again, without naming any names, I haven't named any organizations or any doctors. I'm not going to do that. If we will defend people if you believe you've been defrauded by anyone that's giving you a medical exemption that has not worked, and you found out it wasn't legitimate. We are actually defending people for that, and so we are going to court on behalf of people. And even though, again, on face value, without people knowing all the details, they might say, "What are you doing? Why would you go after somebody who's, why would you sue somebody who's giving people medical exemptions?" Well, because we want it done the right way, or we don't want people being taken advantage of and being charged money for something that isn't legitimate. Okay, if it's legitimate, all day long, go see the doctor, get exemptions, get thousands of exemptions if they're all legitimate. But we want it to be legitimate, and so that's what we're helping people with. And again, we can refer you to reputable doctors that are licensed in other states outside of Connecticut, because there are some good doctors in Connecticut, but unfortunately, even the ones that are like-minded, they believe that vaccine injury is real. That vaccine death is real. They believe there are toxins in some vaccines that can cause reactions and hurt people, which we know is true. Okay, but they're legitimate physicians that are licensed. But they just, unfortunately, the ones in Connecticut are too afraid, because they tell us, now again, I don't have any evidence on it because I haven't been part of those conversations. But they tell us they've been threatened by the state.
Oh, I believe it. The state of Connecticut just in 2024 passed legislation that now tracks all the medical data that you have to, with the idea. They changed the HIPAA laws here. And so what that has done is parents are finding out when they call their doctor's offices that they are not privy to a child's records if they're above the age of 13. Their 13-year-old has to request them. And when you go to opt out of these systems, you cannot opt out a minor child that is older than 13 years old out of the Connie system. You can you can opt them out of the WIS system, which is tracking vaccination. The Connie system is tracking everything. And recently here, our supermajority put that through. And in 2024, there's this massive data mining happening in Connecticut that most people aren't even really aware that this passed. So when I was reading in the legislation, now what happened in California, they took away the medical exemptions. So I'm glad that you pointed out that these kind of like medical exemptions, you're going to pay for this online doctor and you're going to give you a paper. That's not going to fly. That's really good advice, Brian, because it's very serious when a parent is seeking out a medical exemption. This isn't a joke. And when people who don't understand how hard it is for families that have dealt with injuries, that have children who have autoimmune issues and are trying to, a lot of these families left Connecticut because they just couldn't. Homeschool was not an option. In a lot of families, there was a mass exodus, which the legislature, of course, was anticipating and hoping for to some degree, because now, Yeah, exactly. And I mean, my kids are grown now and I watch, and I don't want to talk too much about my personal life on Facebook these days or
Right.
YouTube. But it's very disconcerting and families need to know and understand this. You have a stronger case with the medical exemption going through it the legitimate way because in California they did change things and now it's like even harder for a family to get these medical exemptions. And people shouldn't be taking advantage of families that find themselves here. I cannot believe in the United States of America in the year 2024. I was saying this back in 2018 and, 2016. I've been saying this for years, like how we are here where these basic inalienable rights, everybody has a different metabolical makeup and a different medical history and we're like all our fingerprints are unique. We're all unique in how our bodies deal with medications from pharmaceutical companies, and it should be no one's business, and these things should never be mandated by any body, any government, in the name of public health. And I know that is like kind of like a mo argument because we all know this, but here we are.
Right.
Here we are, and it's one of we're in the 5 lucky states that have no personal philosophical exemption, which California had. And by the way, I just read this into California law today that like the varicella vaccine after 2025 is dropped from their list of necessary vaccinations. Interestingly enough, and that any new now a parent said this and I couldn't find it in the language of their law because I just started looking at this, and a parent said in California that any new vaccines added to the schedule you could claim a personal or religious belief in California. But I can't say that that's 100% true. I didn't read that. But what I did find when the brief moment I was looking is the varicella vaccine, the one that injured my daughter, by the way, is off of their it's not a requirement anymore. Isn't that interesting?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just looked that up today. It was like I might even be able to pull it up because I took a screenshot of it because it tweaks my curiosity quite a bit. Hold on a second. I sometimes switch off here. There we go. Well, 1 second. Let me see if I can pull that up. I thought that was really.
While you're doing that, I'll just say that please contact us if you're in need of any kind of exemption, whether it's religious, medical. We can guide you through. We can't write you medical exemptions because we don't have doctors on staff here. We can refer you to actual licensed physician, and for religious exemptions, we can guide you through that process as well. For those of you who might be listening in states where that's still allowed, or if you need it for a job, or certain colleges that still allow them. I know for K through 12, unless you're grandfathered in Connecticut, you're not going to get them, or for preschool or daycares, you're not going to get them. But with other situations, even in states like Connecticut, like I said, for employment, for instance, there's still people get that confused a lot. They say, well, wait, if the religious exemption was repealed, how are people still claiming one for their job? Well, no, it was only repealed for schooling and for daycares, preschools, K through 12 and colleges. It wasn't repealed for employment situations or other kinds of situations where you might be able to claim an exemption. So, and also there are people listening in other states that might be listening in other states. Obviously, there's other states that still have religious exemptions. Usually, if it's for K through 12, though, it's usually a form that the state Department of Health has, and you just check, what exemptions you're claiming. Sometimes, like Connecticut, how it used to be, you have to get it, witnessed or notarized. But there's a different procedure in each state, and we can connect you with people. No, I'm not really in every state, but we have attorneys in our network that are in all different states. I mean, I don't know, we don't have all 50 yet, but I can find you an attorney in any state, even if they're not currently in our network. Through my contact, I will find you an attorney that can help you no matter what state you're in. And we've connected people in Alaska, Hawaii have contacted us everywhere, literally all over the country, especially during COVID times. But there's still a lot of battles to be fought. We still have ongoing litigation in Connecticut. The Milford Christian Church case, the state tried to shut down the preschool for Mr. Milford Christian Church, and we're litigating that in federal court still. And our state case against the religious exemption repeal is still ongoing. Unfortunately, we didn't. Our federal case was taken up by the Supreme Court, but we still have a state lawsuit. So, I mean, we still have a lot of litigation, a lot of litigating left to do in the state to defend health freedom in Connecticut. And again, as people are thinking about their year-end giving plan, we are coming to the end of the year. You have to make all your tax deductible contributions by December 31st. So if there are any charities you want to give, please remember We the Patriots USA in your charity giving plan because we do need funding. These lawsuits are extremely expensive. Beyond just giving the attorney fee, court costs, printing costs, filing fees, there's travel expenses when we have to fly attorneys around. We don't just have attorneys in Connecticut or here in Idaho where we are now. We have attorneys all over the place that fly to different states to assist us. So we have to take the travel on that, not free. So you just wouldn't believe the stack of bills that goes into filing even one lawsuit.
Yeah, and you guys got your work cut out for you. And I apologize. I'm not able to find actually where that is in here very easily, but I will find it and I'll put it in my Substack. And I was going to
put it in the links in the comments.
Yeah, and I'll put in the links to the comments. I'll put out another, I'll probably take the video and edit out any parts, like the early part where there was a little bit of audio problem, but I believe I did fix it.
So let me just say this before I go, because I have to
Yeah.
run in a minute. Follow us not only on X, we aren't there, and Facebook, although we're so badly censored, nobody sees any of our stuff on Facebook. But you can go to, yes, wethepatriotsusa.org, but you can go to Facebook and X, but you can also go to Telegram. We have a channel also on TikTok, believe it or not, we do have a channel there, and Instagram. Telegram is where you'll get most stuff posted, because that's where we're censored the least. So if you just go to t.me/WeThePatriotsUSA, you'll see our Telegram channel and you can join it. And also subscribe to our email list. You can go to wethepatriotsusa.org, go under contact at the top and hit subscribe, and subscribe to our email list, and subscribe to my Substack. I know you subscribe, Jen. It's called Free Law. And I would strongly encourage you. I don't get to write things there, every day, or necessarily even every week. Sometimes because I'm so busy running the organization. But then I'll have just a burst where I'll write 2 or 3 in a row. In fact, that happened about a week ago when the news. I wrote one about Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, being an ex-pharma lobbyist, or owned a firm or ran a firm that lobbies for Pfizer. And then 2 days later, I wrote one about Bobby Kennedy being appointed. That news came out. So sometimes I write frequently, sometimes not so frequently, but I think it's very thoughtful. I'd like to see people's opinions on that. So that doesn't cost anything. We do have paid subscriptions, but you can subscribe for free.
Yeah, that's what I love about Substack. So you could either decide to support the work or sign on for free, or, it's all good. Whether you're a paid subscriber or a free subscriber, all subscribers are welcome. And special shout out to those that are able to and want to donate support. Well, not donate. I don't want to use that word for me per se. I've had problems myself. Anyway. And Connecticut's a rough state for me, Brian.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you. Anyway, so if you want to be a paid subscriber to like my Substack or Brian's Substack, that's great and it's well appreciated. And
What's
then
your Substack again? What's the name of it?
at Sparks Report. So
Sparks Report. Okay.
yeah.
So I would recommend that one. So when we hang up, I'll go and add that to my list of recommendations.
Oh, great. That would be great. Excellent. Yeah. I'd love that. So, well, I appreciate you taking the time out and us talking, and we'll definitely have to tap back in as we progress through. We're coming to the end of 2024, and as we progress through into, after the holiday season, when the change of power takes place, and to see what goes on with Bobby taking over as HHS. Hey, man, if it happens, I think that's great. And even if it does happen, nothing's going to be done overnight. You have to understand that this is a giant huge government bureaucracy that's very deeply entangled. I think we are at a great place in history right now. And now is not the time to sit back with your hopium and think that it's all going to be solved because you went and voted. No, boots on the ground. You need to be active participants in your freedom. I think
conspiracy theory about that. Do you have 20 seconds for one more
Yes.
conspiracy theory?
Yes.
The conspiracy theory is that the reason why so many people are being called out of these private organizations to go work for the federal government, because a lot of these health freedom warriors and leaders who have been in this fight for years, even decades, are being called and considered for positions in the new administration under Bobby Kennedy and President Trump. And so a lot of people, I've heard the theory floated. I wouldn't say who's saying it, but people are concerned that this is a trap. They're being pulled out of their organization so that those organizations collapse, and everybody's entered in the federal government where they can be watched and controlled.
Yeah,
So-
and potentially, tainted too. You get like,
Right. I mean, we're in there, there's deals done, and then their organizations have done such good work for so many years. People stop funding them once the leaders walk away. Think about it, when you don't have those leaders running the organizations anymore, the organizations can fall apart, people stop funding them, and that's a way to get rid of all these great health freedom organizations that have been fighting for so many years. So don't let it happen. Be the boots on the ground, continue to fight. Unfortunately, I do have to run, but thank you so much for allowing me to come on again, and we'll do this again soon. I'm sure there'll be a lot more news in the coming weeks, months to talk about.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. And as for you guys, I'm going to be signing off myself. Stay strong. Don't let your, the hopium take you into a sleep of inaction. Make sure that you stay active, because now it's time, folks. Your children, our future is depending on you to stay active. Still question everything. No matter who it is, question them all the time, every day. Until we meet again in Cyberland, have a great afternoon. Okay.
Or other kinds of situations where you might be able to claim
action. Make sure that you stay active, because now it's time, folks. Your children, our future is depending on you to stay active. Still question everything. No matter who it is, question them all the time, every day. Until we meet again in Cyberland, have a great afternoon. All right, let me see. Here.
last year,
In the house, got a great.
I don't hear when you talk. I only hear when I talk.
Okay, I'm
So
not.
it sounds like it's coming. We don't need to do anything. We don't need. Okay, but I don't think I'm wrong. We didn't elect a whole new Congress. We only.
And people aren't really easily able to take it, or they. Now it's the time for the hopium.
Pockets of people in Congress, and there's threats that happen.
Why the fuck did he have an echo? But I got the echo off. Ah, you fuck.
Is problematic, especially when you have an illness or if your body is very inflamed, especially post-injection or post-well child visit. A lot of times they'll tell parents to give the child Tylenol before the well child visit and after the well child visit. Well, here's the thing. Tylenol is a medication, and your body uses different molecules to detoxify itself of various medications, even if they
Okay. Discussion for you guys.
Big deal. All the CDC data is coming out now. Everything's going to be revealed. People are going to be held accountable. The 1986 Act is going to be eviscerated. There's not going to be any more immunity from liability. All that's going away. And it's like a new age. Everybody's hailing this, the age of Aquarius, whatever they're calling it. A new day. I'm serious. I've seen that. A new day has dawned. Everything's going to be wonderful now.
Oh.
I am here not to rain on anybody's parade, but I do think there's a lot of reasons to hope. Let me just start by saying that. I do think there's a lot of reason to be happy and to have some sense of relief and hope. Definitely, hope is justified. What I'm concerned actually go on and on. Go to other great organizations like the Justice Institute, Liberty Council, the Thomas More Society, who have done a lot of work with things like vaccine exemptions over the past several years. Other nonprofits like the National Vaccine Information Center. Just there's a wealth of information from some really great organizations that many of which have been doing this for a long time, even longer than we have here with PSA. Those organizations have been around for a really long time. They still need to be funded. Why? People say, well, everything's going to be cleaned up. All the fraud's going to be exposed. Everyone's held accountable. Vaccines aren't going to be mandated anymore. Why do we still need to support them? Well, because that false sense of security is just that. It's false. Okay? We are now, number one, nothing's happened yet. Bobby Kennedy has to be confirmed by the Senate. And I believe that's going to be an uphill battle. Why? Why do I believe that's going to be an uphill battle? I could be wrong. Go back and play this if I'm wrong. If he skates through and it's confirmed very easily, go back and play this and laugh at me. Okay? But I don't think I'm wrong. Because most of Congress is bought and paid for. Remember, we're a nonpartisan organization, so I'm not going to be, waving the flag for Trump here, certainly not for Biden or Harris. We're nonpartisan, and I'm glad that we're not allowed to be partisan, actually, as a 501c3, because I don't trust any party. I don't trust any political party.
Is that Otis barking?
At least
Huh?
Otis barking?
60.
He barked?
On the video.
No.
70%.
No.
Probably.
Oh.
How was Stelly Bells?
He was good. Let's see if I took any pictures. I always take pictures of her.
I gotta put one in
She
the
was
fire.
a little fussy today.
Oh boy. I hope she's gonna be happy on
And then
things.
Sophia comes home and Stella's like, na 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 na.
Oh my god! Yes! Stelly Belly babe! Oh, is she eating?
She wanted it so bad.
We should let her have, like, just not, like...
Well, it was like turkey and cheese, like not healthy cheese.
I love it! That's so fucking awesome!
My calves are sore from dancing with her.
Oh my god, that's so cute!
Look, I hit the beat.
Oh my gosh, you know what? When you were her age, that you were like...
Look though, I hit the beat.
Yeah, well, you can dance.
Watch,
you
I
can,
hit the beat. I hit the beat.
You can hit the beat. You got skills, girl. That was your favorite thing as a baby, so seeing you dance with Stelly Bells like that is pretty funny. Be careful with Kyle. You two, all this time together, you take precautions.
I'm not doing anything. I haven't done nothing with him. I haven't. Trust me. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, when you do, please take precautions. You don't want to have little,
Yeah, no. No.
Yeah. I worry about such things.